How's it going, people? This is Bob again, and this episode is going to be the finale to Wildstar. That'll be Wildstar number 4. So we're finally going to get to know what's been going on the whole time. And I have to tell you, I think I'm a little disappointed in it. There's a lot of Wildstar that I like. A lot about the character, a lot about the costumes, the artwork, even some of the writing I thought was pretty good. But I have to say, when the truth comes out, I just was, but we're going to get into all of that. Okay, so first of all, the cover here, I think the cover's awesome. We're getting that entity, Skylark, that we saw in previous issues. We have young Mickey here is now Wildstar, so we're seeing a different version. As we can see here, the hair's not white with a black stripe, but black with a white stripe. So that's showing you that, you know, he is younger. We're also getting this star in the eye here, which I think is a nice touch. But overall, I think this is a good cover, okay? So we're going to pick up right where we left off, which was when Mickey was wearing the Wildstar outfit and fighting the mercenaries or bounty hunters from the future, Dead Star here, and basically getting his butt kicked because he doesn't know how to do anything. And of course, Jumpstart is trying to help by telling him what to do. But, you know, in the middle of a fight, if somebody's going to tell you how to do it, I don't think it's going to work out too well. But this person here throws Jumpstart against a wall and then launches the young new Wildstar over at these two. And this is apparently trans. And we're finding out how trans's power works. Because this guy's like, heads up, you're about to get hit by a flying Wildstar. And he's touching him, so apparently they will switch places. I guess that's kind of a cool power, but I mean, is that really how that works? Because you can only ever, like, move just a few feet or something. So this is the first time I've seen his power at work, I think, in these comics. So it's kind of weird. He just kind of transplants himself into this other position of this person, and I guess he has to do it by touch. So I have to say that's a pretty weak power. I don't think I would get that power and say, you know what I need to be? A bounty hunter. I don't see how that power would help me. But anyway, Wildstar lands on this other guy here. I can't remember. Oh, his name is Mazer. And Mazer is a little annoyed here that Trans did this to him. And then we cut to Savage Dragon. If you remember, Savage Dragon was kind of being attacked by some soldiers when he was like just trying to find out what was going on. He was coming back from dropping off a prisoner somewhere. There was a police officer in a police car that was driving Dragon. And as you can see here, Dragon is kind of worse for wear. As you know, we know Dragon can't be hurt, but you can see here his uniform is ripped to shreds from everything that was going on around here. And when Dragon tries to find out what's going on, they're kind of telling him, like, you don't have the security clearance to know. And in all reality, we don't think you can help us. Even though somebody else does chime in and say, hey, I mean, he is the Savage Dragon. He has superpowers. We're dealing with superpowered people. Maybe it's best to tell Dragon what's going on so he can help us. And they're just like, no, Dragon's not the kind of help we need. And then Dragon's like, you know what? Fuck all of you guys for doing this. And then he just walks away. I have no idea what happened to the officer in the police car. I don't know how they're going to get back since it looks like they were in the middle of the desert. But we kind of leave it right here with that going on. We cut to this house, which we saw in last issue, was the New Blue compound. So it's just a facade. They go in and get lowered into, you know, a giant military laboratory, as you can see. Now we do see this guy, and if I remember correctly, that was Wildstar number 2 that we see him fighting this guy, because I pointed out that I thought the design was pretty cool. So it looks like he's kind of being genetically engineered here at the New Blue compound. And the general here is talking about, you know, just some of the things that are going on there. We can also see here that Hotwire has gotten back into this. Now, apparently, he just needs to, you know, throw an army uniform on and blend right in. Apparently, nobody, all of these guys, I guess, met for the first time. They weren't a unit before, so they don't notice that this guy can just, come right in. But he does sneak into the military installation while the general here is breaking into some stuff. And as you can see, Hotwire then tries to. I'm thinking, is Hotwire going into the same place that this general was going into? I mean, the keypads do look different, but that's the impression I was getting. But apparently, it's a different door. But he basically swipes it, types in something that says Hotwire, and then he's just kind of sitting there waiting. And then the computer's like, well, or does he type in well, like he's talking to the computer, and then the computer's like, okay, cool, I'll open the door, and he's like, thanks, and goes right in. I'm getting the impression that his power was talking to computers, and we'll see a little bit more of that later on. We still have Wildstar here being attacked by the bounty hunters in the future. We have Free Zone that covered his torso in ice and has him against the wall. Jumpstart here is like, expand your chest, it's going to help you break the ice. But Mickey's like, you're nuts, I can barely breathe, there's nothing I can do here. But then Jumpstart kicks him in the head, which is probably always good, right? You don't want there's no way that's going to disorient like this guy here who doesn't know how his powers work. But if you remember, the way that these symbiotes work is that they feed on the emotion of their host, and that emotion that supplies them with, I guess, the greatest sustenance is anger, right? So she's saying you have to get more angry, you have to be madder, and you'll get stronger because of it. So that's why she kicked him in the head. And apparently it worked because he broke out of the ice. But immediately after breaking out of the ice, this guy Mazer grabs him up again while we have Dead Star here about to do an attack or whatever. But he punches him, breaks out of it, kicks the guy. Now, I was a little impressed with this pose here. This is a hard pose to pull off, but this is one of the things that Jerry Ordway is really good at. He does know his anatomy. He's good at doing that type of thing. Now, this Dead Star here looks like shot something at Wildstar and hit him, but I think also hit Mazer here, who, and then we don't have any more information now. We're going to cut to the general here and Mickey's father, okay, which I believe his name again was Brandon. And basically he's telling him that, they confiscated the UPS package that Brandon had received earlier that came from the laboratory that disappeared, and that he would like him to open it up. When he opens it up, you can see here that there's like the faint vision of whatever device it was that they had. But that device apparently just turns into pixie dust. And it looks like dust that like he can hold. Like apparently it's not a real thing or something. But he's telling him about how the other guy at the facility that he was talking to in the beginning had mailed that to Brandon for safekeeping because he thought that it was an important device. But as we can see here, this disappears. We have a person run in saying that they have a security breach, and that security breach is Wildstar and Mazer here getting thrown through the wall because of the blast from Dead Star, falling on this tank that contains this mutant creature, mutant cyborg type thing. Dead Star is following Jumpstart. Jumpstart is talking about how useless Mickey is. And of course, Mickey was a kid who just had a symbiote put on him, and he's going to be useless. Like, I know that's a comic trope that, occurs all the time or whatever. But yeah, she's just pointing out that, you need to get better quicker, get good, noob, or whatever, to being a new superhero and all this. Too much is expected of him. Now, I do want to point this out. This has actually been going on in the entire series. That when they write this, they replace the word shit with spit, okay? I remember this from back in 1993. Now, when I look back on this, I'm thinking to myself that, this was an Image book, and they were able to do whatever the hell they wanted to do with it. They did not, adhere to the comics code. That was like one of the great things about Image, was that they could do whatever, okay? But I do think that they wanted to keep it to a certain level so that, more people could read the book and that it wouldn't be labeled as mature. But I have to say that I think just putting the word shit in a book wouldn't have been that bad. I don't think that anybody would have said, "Oh, well, we can't buy that book because of the harsh language or whatever." But yeah, they did replace it with the word spit, so it just comes off as kind of weird. But even I have been guilty of that because now it just feels like that's what you're supposed to do in a comic, because they were always replacing what they would consider to be bad words with something else, so that you would think like you're getting it, you're reading it, you're like, oh, they meant holy shit here, that's cool, and they just found a way of doing it that was going to be okay, and they were still going to be able to sell the book without it, being labeled to adult or something like that. But now when I look back on it, it kind of just comes off as it's like a bad choice. But here we have Hotwire, who had broken into this thing, and he gets on this military computer here. And what we have here is Hotwire, like he opens up, tries to open up a file, and it says enter your access code, and he just types his name in. And this machine's like, that is not the passcode, and if you don't put the real passcode in 15 seconds, I'm going to hit the alarm, and the security retaliation force or whatever will be activated. And he just types in please, and the computer's like, excuse me? And he's like, pretty please? And then the computer's like, oh, okay, and just lets him in, and he's like, thanks. So again, that seems like a weird thing to me. Does he have, his power, is it the ability to give a computer sentience? Does it make it sentience, give it a personality, so that he's able to talk in that manner and it works? That's what I'm getting. It's never 100% explained in these books. This is the final issue. This is where we should get all of the answers. I think they wanted to leave some things as mysteries because maybe they thought that it was going to go on as a series. It was going to continue on, but that didn't happen. So there are some questions that we're not going to have answered, and that goes with some of these people's powers. Okay. So here comes Jumpstart. This is when she had come through the wall telling him he can't fight, landing here. Now we have Mickey's father and the general and a couple of soldiers and everything. This is where Mickey's father is finding out that this is Mickey wearing the Wildstar suit now. The general tells his soldiers to grab this bimbo, okay? And the bimbo's like, this is for that bimbo remark, and zaps everybody. This has happened before, and it's happened to the general before. So, again, this is why I'm saying this issue is a bit of a disappointment. I still enjoy the book. I still love it. But it just seems like they were forgetting things. Like, this was one of those issues with Image in the beginning was you had these people writing books for the first time. I don't think that Al Gordon and Jerry Ordway had written for the first time. I'm sure they had written Superman stories or other books before. But they also had an editor to work with who could come back and like let you know this type of thing. That he should know that this person has this power since he was hit with that power just 1 or 2 issues ago. And that all of this is happening over like a day or two. So there's not like a giant length of time here that's going on where, these people have time to forget all of this stuff. So it's kind of a weird thing that he would just be like, grab her, and I guess he thinks she won't do anything. But here we just have Mickey trying to, they're telling him to get away from this pool of green stuff that had poured out, or purple stuff, maybe it's what this fluid is, because he says it's reshaping and reforming, and it's turning into this like giant alien bug here who has somebody stuck inside. Now, when I first read this, I was like, who is this guy, right? I didn't get it because they're saying that this is like a symbiote or something, right? And it says it right here. Jumpstart comes in and starts attacking it. It's like, watch it, you guys. Without a conscious host, Blockade's way more dangerous. So, okay, so that's Blockade? Is that who that was? And not, I'm sorry, you're right. It wasn't Mazer. Mazer was the other guy, so I got the names confused. So this was the guy, Blockade, who was wearing the green armor. And he was the guy who got thrown through the wall with Wildstar right here, right? And then I guess, this is his symbiote that grows out and kind of puts him in this part of his body to hold on to him so he can still feed off him while he does whatever. But so not only do they have this symbiote that they have to fight, but this cybernetic mutant comes to life. Can I just say that, like, the military here is building this guy or genetically engineering this guy or whatever it is at this new blue compound. This is what they came up with. Like, nobody looked at this and said, okay, this is one terrifying monster, and this shouldn't be a problem at all. We should probably be able to control him or whatever. But yeah, so he's out now, and he's fighting Wildstar while Jumpstart was fighting the symbiote. Now, the symbiote opened up its body and is now swallowing Jumpstart. And Jumpstart is saying, you need to break this sac on the bottom here to release blockade, because then the symbiote won't be able to function. So Wildstar here basically taunts this cybernetic mutant or whatever to swing at him, bursting that bubble and having, blockade spill out. Now, we don't see that, but we are seeing this. Now, this is kind of an orange bubble here in my, maybe this is like a yellow sac and it does have like red or blood colored thing, liquid in it, because this was coming out as blood. And again, it's an Image comic, so we should get that, But yeah, so everybody's like diving out of the way of that. Dead Star here picks up Jumpstart, and looks like, he's about to do something when Wildstar comes in, and he's like, well, I'll settle with you later. I have bigger fish to fry, and he just throws Wildstar to the side. I do love that, because they always think to themselves, if I'm throwing this one person over here, there's no way they'll ever be able to do anything to stop me from doing what I'm about to do. It's kind of just ridiculous. Like, he could have handled Jumpstart and then did that. But again, these are like common comic tropes that take place in comic books all the time. He's going on here about how this is all Mickey's fault and all of this, and that he's going to stop it. And of course, Wildstar's just like, you're a nut. That was his comeback. Here we have Jumpstart, who's like, hiding here while the rest of the bounty hunters come in and grab Mickey's dad. We've got the general on the ground here. Jumpstart decides to take out these high voltage cables. Okay. And again, we have all this liquid from the compartment that was holding the cyborg mutant spilled all over the floor. She basically gets fried, but apparently she's okay. It does look like her power is like electricity. She's telling him to not step in the liquid, because apparently everybody else has stepped in it. She lets out her electric charge and shocks everyone. And of course, again, this is, you have to make a quip. I gotcha. Not every line is going to work. But she says, sorry, buttheads, I know this may come as a shock to you. Okay? Because she's shocking them. All right. But of course, she gets drained and she passes out. Mickey's dad grabs her and pulls her to the side. Also saves the general here when he gets surprised by this cyborg mutant again. And here we have Hotwire again talking to this computer when he makes contact with another general whose name is General Shooter. And this guy was apparently just sitting in front of his computer when this communique comes in. And he is just immediately going off. Who are you? What are you doing? Blah, 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 this and that. Now, there is no reason in hell that this general should know who this guy is, even if he were a real member of the military. He should never look at some guy on here. He's wearing an army uniform. It's right there. And this guy is going insane instead of thinking that this could be some kind of emergency communique from a black site that he knows about, okay? But instead, he's immediately angry and talking about how he's going to be prosecuting this guy to the fullest extent of the law for what he's doing, because he's obviously breaking the law in some way or something like that. He is just letting him know, like, oh, I've got, I'm able to do all of this, and it's the easiest thing in the world. And this guy's like, it's impossible. There's no way you should have been able to hack all of this because you need like 30 different passwords and everything in order to do that. And this guy's just like, no, I don't, because my name's Hotwire. He goes, but I will say this, I've given you, he says here, he's like, we're wasting time, General. I've given you the edge, in quotes. If you're smart, you'll tell your friends. You've got a lot of work to do, so I'm signing off. Good luck, General. I'm counting on you. Now, he told him no information here. He told him nothing. He didn't just send information to him. He literally did this communication here where he doesn't tell this guy anything other than, I've given you the edge. I feel like that could have just been in, I don't know, the email. It's 1993. So maybe the email that he sent him with whatever information. We don't know what this information is. We will find out. We will find out, because that is coming, because we're going to have a huge like exposition dump towards the end of this book, like they're trying to fit everything in. Okay. We still have Dead Star fighting Wildstar, who kicks him in the balls, right? Fair game. This guy knows what he's doing. This guy doesn't. Do what you have to do to win. After taking out Dead Star, he jumps on this cyborg mutant to take him out, which he does with a power blast. And the power blast, of course, drains him, because that's what it does when the symbiote uses that kind of power. Now, Dead Star has Wildstar dead to rights, and it's about to take him out when we get interrupted by this being again that we know is called Skylark. We've seen her in other issues. And while she is there, like, interrupting this, and everybody's kind of in shock, we're getting ghost images of the original Wildstar, wearing the green backpack and everything. This is how we saw him in the beginning. And this is apparently where, I don't know, the time loop starts coming in to play. Like, this is the moment that starts the time loop, maybe. Dead Star here can't tell these visions from the real Wildstar, so he's swinging at anything. Or, he's upset that he's seeing this one again, because this is the one that should be dead while he's doing that. And, he's looking at himself now. And even there, this image of Wildstar is like, oh my God, it can't be. It's Mickey, right? And he's like, Michael, that is a weird thing to me. We in the beginning of this book, we got the impression that the kid was going to end up being Wildstar, and that Wildstar was the older version of that kid, right? It strikes me as weird that, when he was asking him his name and he says it's Mickey and everything, and he acts like he never seen this kid before or never seen his father or anything like that. Like, okay, I get it. It's been years or whatever, but like, I don't think I forgot my childhood or something as memorable as this. Time travelers appearing and fighting each other. That's not something I'm going to just forget. That is the biggest event of my life happening right here, right? So it was always weird to me that they did it in that manner, and that they called each other different names. Like, he's acting like he was never called Mickey before. You know what I mean? So that's weird. I guess you stop being called Mickey when you get older and go with Michael because it sounds more mature. But still, when I was a kid, I was a Bobby. Everybody called me Bobby. Now I'm Bob because I'm older. It's the way it is. I didn't forget that. I'm going to always remember it. It's what it is. Anyway, so we have the bounty hunters here who are like, kill him. And this girl's like, I told you guys to knock it off. I said stop it. Now I'm going to stop it myself. So she, releases some power, and now they teleport somewhere else. So we have the people, which I guess were labeled the good guys, that were teleported with Skylark here. Now, another entity, another being of some kind, kind of yells out Skylark, and Skylark is like, oops, I'm busted. And then right there, it's like, I'm sorry, Skylark, you've proven yourself irresponsible. You need time to meditate. And apparently, we can see here that Skylark has now become, a solid being here, and possibly lost her powers, and falls into Wildstar. And as we can see here, she says, all beings, I'm solid. That is another thing. We've seen this before. Like, there's been many stories where it's like, okay, in the beginning we saw this this being that looks like, they have like immense power or whatever. you know, uh, they look like a godlike creature or something like that appearing there to give you messages and everything. But they really made her sound like she was a bit ditzy when she would appear and would speak. All of her dialogue is in lowercase letters, and I'm not exactly sure why. I don't know how that is supposed to play out when you hear her voice. Is it just make her voice sound more young, or something like that? I'm not sure. But basically, what we're getting here is she's from a very, very distant future, and the way she acts or whatever, it just seems, I don't know, it just seems weird. It kind of reminds me of if we remember the Ninja Turtles, there was that woman who wore the suit made out of clocks, and she was like an apprentice of like a time magician or something like that. And you know how she talked or whatever. That's the impression I'm getting here. Is like she was the same character. But anyway, Mickey's like, "What the heck happened?" And she's like, "I kind of hurt my butt." Yeah. So you're getting an impression of what this person is. You're getting the impression that she's just. She doesn't look like it to me. She does not look like she's that young, but she's definitely talking like she's like, a young teenager or something like that. But I don't know. I'm seeing like gray streaks in her hair that I guess maybe give me the impression that she's older or something. I don't know. Maybe that is different in the future. Maybe they live so long that even if she were like 30 years old, that's still kind of a teenager now, But she does tell them that she is the step between man and God. She's going to bring that up several times during this conversation. But this is where we're going to start getting all of our answers finally to this, or most of our answers. She's letting everybody know that she's the one that's responsible for this mess. That she comes again from a more distant future, and that she came back in time because she loves this time period. This is the time period that she likes. Now, the weird part about that is that when she says that, it's like this. She goes, I came back in time to now. It's because I really like this period of Earth's history. The music, the clothes, it's really a groovy time. So you're saying it's really a groovy time. I feel like you missed the mark. You're in 1993. I think you wanted 1973, right? So there's a 20-year difference there that you could have, but I guess to somebody from a future and everything, 20 years is, but, or they're just kind of using the wrong type of slang and giving us the wrong impression. I don't know. But she, like I said, she comes back in time because she just enjoyed the time period. And then while she was here, she noticed that people were sick. Because I guess in the future, people aren't sick anymore. So she decided that she wanted to cure the sick. So she just started going around and curing the sick. But as she says here, but it didn't really work out. It's a lot harder than time travel because there's an extra sort of problem with it. You see, people have to want to be cured first. That seems weird to me. I don't know. I just don't know about that. That bothers me in so many directions because it's like, who the hell would not want to be cured of whatever? This was 93. People could have, terminal AIDS. Why wouldn't you want to be cured? Cancer. Thousands of ways you could die from cancer and everything, or thousands of types of cancer or whatever. All of it, terminal here. Why wouldn't you want to be cured? Okay. Why would, you would just be like, you know what? Nah, I'm 27. I've lived a long life. I don't want to, move forward or anything. So I don't know. I just feel like that was weird. But she says here that anyway, all of my cosmic interfering caused this ripple in the universe, and this mean and nasty race of aliens called the Razplar. And he's like, oh yeah, I was told about him by my future self. And they're saying that the Razplar was following some beacon here. And she's like, no, actually what's going on is that because I caused this ripple, the Razplar actually followed this ripple. So she's the person who is the one responsible for absolutely everything, okay? And then she says when they arrived to Earth, they discovered that she had a certain special something that they had been trying to find for a long time. And they figured it would be easier to search for this special something if everybody on Earth was sort of occupied with something else. And then Mickey comes to the conclusion that, oh, like a war. And she's like, yeah, exactly. So basically, the Rasplar came to Earth, started a war between nations or whatever. That's why the future we saw in Wildstar #1 looks like, a wasteland, basically, right? Like we had our World War III. And that was caused so that the Rasplar can find whatever special thing is on Earth. Now, we never find out what that special thing is. I guess, again, that would be something that they planned on bringing up later on if they continued on with the series, right? So because the series didn't continue on, we're not going to find out what that is. And she's talking about how, Earth is a special place. It's a real jewel. There's only a few places like it in the universe. And then she says that's when she went into the future to enlist Mickey's help to come back and stop, this from happening. So again, I don't know, it just seems a little weird to me. I guess it's because she's saying that she couldn't go back in time to a place that she was already at or that she had visited before, because we all know how complicated time travel stuff is. But she's doing that now. She had been in this time period. She stated that in her story. So some of it, like I said, doesn't work out because she even admits, like, yeah, I'm here now and I'm not supposed to be. And it's, it's not that I can't, but I shouldn't. And, things like that. So, as we see here, Mickey's like, yeah, I know you're the step between man and God, whatever the hell that means, because she keeps bringing that up as, that's who she is or what she is or whatever. And Mickey's not believing any of this because it is, a far-fetched story. But then again, Mickey's wearing a symbiote and is now given superpowers, right? Mickey has witnessed all of this stuff going on and even talked to himself from the future. He knows it's him from the future, and yet he's still disbelieving this entire story by the entity that's finally giving him the answers, right? So we have Jumpstart here who found Hotwire, who apparently just, I guess, knew how to... Did Hotwire... Yeah, so Hotwire wasn't here where they teleported, okay? But Hotwire just kind of appears now. He wasn't teleported. I guess he just happened to stumble amongst them. I'm guessing they didn't teleport too far. I don't know. See, so that's a little weird to me that he just appears there. And Wildstar is like, oh yeah, I know you. Didn't I give you a ride once? And this guy is like, oh, don't call me Andy, call me Hotwire. And he says, mission accomplished, Skylark. Looks like we have a second chance after all. So apparently Hotwire was working with Skylark the whole time. We were getting like a different impression. Like Hotwire wasn't really, didn't really look like he was with Wildstar or those bounty hunters from the future. So we really didn't know. And I guess they were playing that in a mysterious way so that we could be surprised later on with who he really was working with. Again, here we have Hotwire explaining the things that he did to help or whatever. Like right here, it's like, Andy's kind of gifted. He helped me by writing the memory section of the time machine in quotes. We figured that would keep everybody occupied while we went about with our plan. Here, again, I'll just read the dialogue because I think maybe that explains it a little better. But Mickey's father here is like, you're kidding. The memory section was a brilliant piece of work. But the rest of the circuits were just nonsense. And the speech bubble comes off on the side here, and it's like, that's because there never really was a time machine. Now, is that Hotwire speaking, or is that her, Skylark? Because the dialogue it's not written in lowercase, right? So here we're getting this where she's like, yeah, I did it all. I transported everybody from the future the same way I accidentally created the loop by sending you back here in the first place. And even though I'm pretty cosmic, I couldn't visit a time where I've already been. I guess that's because I'm already there. So I couldn't come back to now to fix it, right? So she messed up by going back to this time period or whatever. The time machine that Wildstar finds in the future wasn't actually a time machine. She zapped everybody back. So why would she then zap the bounty hunters back as well when she could just zap Wildstar? I don't know. All of that just seems weird because it just seems like, with these bounty hunters, they caused more trouble than anything and didn't allow for anything to be solved. So then she goes on to say, well, it's not exactly that I couldn't, I just wasn't supposed to. So again, these time travel loopholes and such, because she's obviously in a time period that she had already occupied. So according to my supervisors, it's a major no-no. Creates real bad vibes in the universe. You see, that's how I was discovered. They sensed it. And I guess that's why I've been, demoted. This happened once before when I messed up my dad's VCR. Okay. You're from the future. I'm a retro guy. I've got a VCR. I've got VHS tapes. I have DVDs. I have Blu-rays. I have a ton of stuff like that. But if I am going to watch Star Wars, right? At this point, I am going to watch it in 4K, digitally remastered, to get the best possible quality. I own Star Wars on VHS, but I'm not going to hook a VHS up to my TV to watch it. You're telling me that these people who come from 1,000 years or more in the future are watching VCRs and that she messed this up? Like, it's ridiculous. It's a bad joke. It doesn't play out well, in my opinion, either in 1993 or now, 30 years later, I think, that's, but it's a bad joke. It doesn't work for me, right? But here we have Hotwire chiming in, but it all worked out sort of okay, because with Michael being the diversion, I could alert the Kiowas and Earth to Razplar's imminent invasion plans. This time, Earth will be prepared, and hopefully a bloody war can be averted. So apparently what he did was send that information to General Shooter, and I guess he's got to put faith that this guy, General Shooter, will know what to do in order to prevent this thing, this potential, alien invasion, World War III event, or whatever. So of course now we have Jumpstart coming in with more questions. And she's like, hold on a second, girlie. I'm losing track here. You say you're responsible for everything. I guess that means you're also taking credit for my ex-compatriots disappearing. Well, I mean, did they disappear? She teleported everybody out of the thing. So that's not really a disappearance, but she did put them, in the Arctic here, as she says. It says, and since Old Liver Lips and his gang needed even more cooling off, I sent them to a nice, balmy, secluded spot on an Arctic ice floe. So there we go. I think we've gotten all of our information now, because what we're going to get here is Mickey saying that all of this sounds crazy and stupid, and that he doesn't believe any of it, and he's trying to take off the Wildstar symbiote. And Jumpstart's like, you probably don't want to do that because you're going to get hurt. And he's telling everybody that they're all crazy. If they're buying into what this chick is talking about, that they're all crazy, and he firmly believes that he is dreaming this and that he is in bed. That is a thing that tends to happen. I've had some crazy dreams in my life, right? Some real crazy dreams. I even drew a picture of one. It was about a giant spider who were controlling people like literal puppets with like webs, hanging off of their hands and everything to move them around. I drew this picture, like right when I woke up, I'm like, this is an idea I want to stick with. It's probably going to end up being in a future comic book of mine. But never once in that dream while that was happening was I like, oh, this is definitely just a dream. I'm going to go about my business and pretend that none of that ever happened. So it's a bit ridiculous, that he does that. But he's adamant about it, and he's like, you know what? Fuck all of you. You guys are crazy. So all of you guys are crazy. So I'm going to go ahead and just grab my father, and I'm going to fly out of here and go back to bed and lay down. And apparently they're just like, okay, whatever. And now we cut to the future, because I guess because of what Mickey did, this does loop again. The loop didn't stop. The loop is still continuing on. So, with the loop continuing on, this is where the book ends. So basically it's not an ending, it continued on. We were supposed to get a continuation of it, but I don't think, that ever happened. But then we are left here with, some cool pinups of Wildstar. I do love this one. I'm sorry. I know a lot of people talk about the Keith Giffen thing here. Some people weren't into this, but I think this is just fucking awesome. That gun is fucking awesome. Here's some Mike Mignola here. it's a beautiful thing to look at. You know, some of these pictures are okay. You know, I like this. This is pretty good. I think he's holding a G.I. Joe comic that's on fire. Here's a comic book store. So I think that all of that's supposed to be a reference. Maybe this artist drew G.I. Joe. I actually don't know. I think this is a pretty cool picture as well. All right, guys, I want to thank you guys for watching this video. Again, my name is Bob, and I'm a comic book artist. So I'm trying to get my name out there. So if you guys could like this video, it would help my channel grow. And if you want to see more like this, go ahead and hit subscribe. Thanks for watching.